Hi everyone, my name is Vanessa and I lead the museum experience team at Cincinnati Museum Center. Today I'm going to be sharing a little bit about 1950s fashion with you. I hope you enjoy. So to understand the 1950s, we actually have to go back to the 1940s. During the war, which ended in September of 1945, items were restricted. Fabric, rubber, just a couple of examples of items that were rationed because we needed them to fight the war. Our troops needed them. But after the war, those items are no longer restricted, and we see the silhouettes change in the latter part of the decade. One of the most famous is Dior's The New Look. But it's actually not a new look because Dior had rolled out that look, but because of the use of fabric and the restrictions, it was pulled. So after the war, it's reintroduced and defined as Dior's The New Look. And that look has still a broader shoulder. You see a lot of shoulders widen during the war years of the 40s. But the latter part of the 40s, that shoulder is a bit wider, but it's rounded, and the waistline is really narrowed, corseted at times with high fashion designs. And skirts or dresses, you see a really full padded skirt and the hemlines are lowered. Now, every week I have an example of one of the pieces in my own vintage clothing collection that I highlight on the wall that's from that decade. So today I've pulled a dress that I have from the 1950s. I thought this was a great one to show because you can see that it has a really nice full skirt with lots of fabric being used. So other designs that are happening in the 50s then is this new look from Dior that starts in the last part of the 40s is still seen in the early part of the 50s. Also high fashion looks are using lots of fabric and they're really structured and architectural, which I think is really fascinating. One of the other defining looks of the 50s is thanks to Chanel. So Chanel had a design in the teens and 20s that was a jersey fabric suit for women. And Chanel's response to some of the high fashion designs at the time were, she thought, restricted movement and was not about it. So went back to the design of the 20s, changed it, and it's what we now know as the tweed suit. In the 50s, the jacket is a cardigan jacket, normally worn open, showing beautiful blouses. The other thing that Chanel used in this look is lots of pearls. So today I have on, I also collect vintage jewelry. So I have some of my pearl earrings and my pearl necklace with my 50s dress that I've actually purchased off of Amazon. So sometimes it's hard to find actual vintage clothing. Also, this is a really old dress. So at this point in time, I don't want to wear my vintage clothes. I like to preserve them and keep them. And so I look to reproduction items, and sometimes you can find some nice pieces on Amazon. So I found one that I'm wearing today. So I hope this helps you understand a little bit about the silhouette that you see in the 50s. The latter part of the decade, you see designs that aren't full, but that are hugging the body. It changes. The latter part of the decade, you're moving into the silhouette that you tend to know and think of sometimes in the 60s. So fashion is really changing, and every part of the decade looks a little bit different. And there's a lot of information with fashion history, and I'm just skimming the surface. So if there's anything that you might want to know about, I'm happy to talk about that in more detail in another video. So just post something in the comments feed and I'll be happy to reply to it, or I can do another video on it. Other parts of the look today, I'm going to talk a little bit about my hair. Hairstyles that were really popular at this time are the page boy. I've tried to do my best to recreate that look. I started out using So when I do my research, I actually collect vintage advertisements or styling books. And you see sort of metal curlers. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to try to do this with a curling iron. And I just wasn't getting a tight enough curl to be able to brush out. So what I've done is last night I dampened my hair and I put in some foam rollers. So here's an example of the foam rollers that I've used. I've started with the largest of the foam rollers and I've put that in this upper part of my, where my bang area is at, and here around the sides, because I still want a nice tight curl, but I want to be able to shape it and smooth it into this sort of waved appearance. Then I've taken the smaller curlers and I've gone in and worked my way down to the smallest curler in the foam package at the nape of my neck. So I slept in these, and it gives me an appreciation for anyone that sleeps in curlers. If you do this, I don't know how you do this. You're amazing. I didn't sleep well. I did get some sleep, but not a lot. So also, my neighbors saw me in these last night when I had to take my dogs out. And they also saw me in them this morning because I learned it takes a really long time for my hair to dry. So your hair texture is going to be different. Play around with it, see what works best for you. After I took these out, I had really nice tight curls that I took my brush and I brushed out and loosened that curl. Not so much that I couldn't work with my hands to define it, but enough that they weren't tight ringlets anymore. If this isn't something that you are into, you're not wanting to curl your hair, you're not wanting to shape it, then curling your hair and putting it in a high ponytail is another way to achieve a 50s look. High ponytails were quite the rage during the 1950s. For the makeup, where the 40s I think of is almost like the lip is the defining factor, and there's every shade of red lipstick. The 50s, there's a couple of defining factors here. There's the doe-eyed look, which happens with the eyes. So you're using a liner on the lower lash line and the upper lash line, and you're connecting it just a bit to give a winged look for that doe-eyed look. The other part of a 50s face is a really filled in, defined, arched brow. And my brows were not going to arch. So I haven't achieved that, but I have done my best to go in and fill them in. And that arch really starts in the midpoint of the brow. Mine just won't do it. So you do the best. You work with what you've got. For eyeshadows, there are really lighter shades used in the 50s. So light grays, light browns, silvers, gold tones, light blues, and I love Maybelline's The Blush Nudes. I think this palette has almost every color that I've seen when I've been researching 1950 shades. Now I'm doing my best here to match the colors to vintage advertisements for makeups, or in the research that I've done through the books that I own. And this is what I think is a pretty good match for those shades. Mascara. So mascara is used only on the upper lashes and in shades of brown and black. The lips are pink, lots of pinks. So I have used Revlon's. Love that pink because I feel like it's a pretty good match for the fuchsia that was used at the time. But you see light pinks, corals, and pinkish orange tones in lipstick at this time. And for rouge for the cheeks, you see pinks and corals. So light pinks, bright pinks. Just find shades that work best for you and your complexion and have fun with it. One of the things that I find a little bit challenging about 50s advertisements is that they're targeting women to be in the home. Some fashion historians will argue, but with what I've seen, I feel like they do target women to be in the home. and to put on that makeup for your husband, which I'm not about. So you do what makes you happy and wear what makes you happy. And if you want to try a 50s look, give some of these products a try. If you do, I'd love to see photos if you've styled your hair or you try the makeup. So please post those. I hope that you've had fun. I love sharing this information with you. If there's anything that you want to know more about, I'm happy to answer in the comments, because really, like I said, I'm just highlighting the high-level stuff here. Yeah, so I'd love to see photos if you've got a picture of you in a fantastic 50s outfit or you've tried this makeup look. So have fun with this. And if there's anything else that you want to know, I'm happy to share. If you like this activity, please check out our website and our other social media platforms to look for more content that we're producing at this time. So unfortunately, we are closed and we do rely on ticket sales for our revenue. So if you have the means to do so and you can donate, please consider. There's a link posted that'll be, depending on the platform, either above or below this video. We appreciate you. We can't wait until we can open and see you back at Cincinnati Museum Center. Thank you so much. Bye.